This short video introduces you to the 8 basic patterns that we use in permaculture designs. Natural systems grow more abundant over time and nothing is wasted. So we can improve the efficiency of our designs by learning from nature. Nature may seem chaotic at first, but when we look closely, we can see patterns. These patterns have clever functions. We can use functional patterns in our permaculture designs. There are many ways the use of patterns can assist in the flow of resources and the use of energy. It will affect access to sunlight, the movement of air and water and filtration systems. Within the garden, there will be pathways for people and the resources that you wish to use. But in the beds, in the food forest, there will also be seed dispersal, mulch movement. Throughout this video, I want to encourage you to pause and reflect, and then draw your own examples. So there are 8 basic patterns. The first is spirals. That includes things that are nearly a circle. And then we have the wave, then streamlines, cloud forms, lobes, branches, nets, and scatters. The spiral is famously seen on a snail, but you can also see it in the head of a sunflower or a pineapple skin. Typically, we think of the ocean and its waves when we talk about waves, but in this particular wave, this static wave here, it was formed by turbulent wind. This image has water meandering, not powering down the slope. A streamline is a line that has very little friction. If we think of a snake and its skin, it's very smooth because the snake does not want to be heard. It doesn't want its skin to make a noise. Cloud forms. Well, real clouds are beautiful, but flocks of birds are even more beautiful. Cloud forms come from smoke, fungi spores. It's as if it starts in a very particular place and then bursts into a contained space. Branches. Branches give us options. Nets. A spider's web is a perfect net, but there's also nets on the skin of this custard apple, and I suspect it makes it a very strong armour so that when the fruit falls it doesn't split easily. Here is a scatter of guano, so much so that it's become a blanket of poo. What patterns do you see here? In these leaves we can see branching, streamlines, lobes, scattered particles. Next time you stir a cup of tea, think about the historical uses of spirals. We can use our brain waves to think about the historical use of waves. Maybe getting straight to the point is a streamline. Think about the historical use of streamlines. What about a thought bubble? Maybe you can think of historical uses of cloud forms. Maybe you've got to scratch your head, tug your earlobe to think about the historical use of lobes. If you're trying to think of the historical use of branching, call a friend or call 2 friends, and then they could call another 2 friends. In the same way, gossip can travel and viruses can replicate. Our clothes are made out of nets of material. There's many historical uses of nets. Using patterns in our designs helps us to manage resources and energy flow. In this case, with the mandala, we're encouraging people not to walk on the gardens. So we're giving them a nice, clear, streamlined path within a spiral. And they can reach every section of that garden, not having to step on the soil. Here we see a type of spiral where the rock is sitting in a pool and wind and rain buffet the rock and it moves around and gouges out that pond shape. Here's an example of a spiral used in a permaculture design. A rotating straw yard enables us to concentrate the resources, the chickens or the animals, in a central area and then have radiating yards off that area. You can also use eddies to aerate water in a filtration system. Another very clever use of the spiral is a rocket stove, where it concentrates the heat into a central area. The banana leaf waves gently in the wind. In extreme wind, it will tear, rip, collapse, and even fall down. So it is as if they've evolved to be in an area that is humid with only gentle wind. The movement of the leaves sheds water quickly and stops fungi from forming below. The house in purple here is designed to be in a curve that deflects the wind. It's like a part of a wave, and the upper section of the design has that curve focusing on the garden. Streamlines enable energy and resources to move smoothly. In this example, Mark Shepard's New Forest Farm in the United States uses alley cropping, a type of streamlining where he wants to plant various crops but keep them so that they are easy to harvest. He also uses these as part of a key line system so that the water moves from the valleys to the dry ridges naturally. We use streamlines in paths for two basic reasons: to help people get somewhere without too much delay, but also because we know that the foot traffic and the wheelbarrows will compact the soil, and this will help to stabilize a slope if we position it so that it's not eroding the slope but is reinforcing the contours. And the edges of the paths can be designed so that stormwater will flush them out. Clouds have their own ability to disperse energy. They don't form a scatter, but it's like a collective movement expanding one particle away from the others. If we allow trees to grow and form a canopy, it's like a very slow cloud coming over the garden. This can serve to protect the area below. Lobes. Lobes expand from a very specific point. A keyhole garden is a fun way to use this pattern in a design. The keyhole garden has one central keyhole and then several others that radiate off that. And from there you can have more. Whereas branching allows us to have lots of different ways to move around the site. Branching essentially gives us options. If we think about why people like lawn, it's often because there's nothing to dictate where they should be walking, but they've got a sense of freedom. It's important that people still maintain that sense of freedom in a space, on a landscape. Here we see a large concrete network on a vulnerable muddy slope in Japan. The net is a system, and each part of that system is reinforced by the connections. So nets connect resources. We say we have a network of friends, or we are on the internet. They're all connected, and the strength of the net will be reinforced by the energy and the resources within it. So you can design a system that's quite resilient if it accommodates for periods of low energy and low resource flow, and times when there's an abundance or an oversupply of energy. What purpose can a scatter possibly achieve? A scatter is probably the opposite to what mainstream gardens like to project. A mainstream garden likes to demonstrate how much control the gardener has over the site. Whereas when we allow scatter, that's chaos and it's messy. But scatters release resources and they allow self-seeding. They allow wildlife to be part of the system. It is very rare to find a straight line. You could be sitting watching a natural system for decades before you find a straight line. But straight lines do occur in two extremes. They occur when there's dead calm and when there's high pressure. In this picture of the pancake rocks in New Zealand, you can see there must have been a period, many periods, of dead calm where the sediments had settled and became rock, and then another inundation occurred and the sediment lay again. They are very rare moments where you will find almost straight lines. In summary, you will start to recognize patterns and then hopefully see the function that lies behind that pattern. By recognizing patterns, you will be able to start to read the landscape faster and understand what's going on. Then that helps you to design a better landscape. It helps you to design a landscape that can accommodate for change. There are exercises in the course notes to build your observation skills. Enjoy!